No, we had Sonic Youth. We did Beck's first performance.
Lou Reed was big on the Knitting
so
Factory.
Lou started to come when we opened up on Leonard Street.
Right.
But
How did that happen?
Hal Wilner, who really loved our eccentric stuff that we were doing downtown, was doing some production stuff with Lou. Hal, did us the biggest solid. He knew how much I revered Lou. And when we're talking about what represented New York to me, Lou, right? I mean,
almost to everybody, but
Lou, right?
Lou.
It was like, oh my God, like the Velvet Underground, and then the connection to. Well, you want to know another? It was Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
And then the factory closed the same week the Knitting Factory opened.
That's crazy.
So
did you meet Andy?
No. But that was one of the things. Like, to me, when we talk about that Kerouac jazzy thing of New York, to me, Lou Reed and Andy and all that was part of this thing that was like, whoa, I want to come to that. Lou played the big room on Leonard Street, right?
Leonard Street,
and that we had a capacity of 199 legally.
Really?
And he was still Lou back then.
He was Lou. It was when we would do runs. We'd do 3-night runs and be packed. And those were the most crowded we get. The fire department came the first time we did Lou.
Yeah.
The fire department showed up and
it's Lou, it's fine.
No, actually he goes this pretty much, but the chief comes in and goes, who's that on saxophone? And I go, that's David Sanborn. And he goes, just a second.
Damn.
And he literally goes.
He Googled it.
No,
there was no
Google.
then.
No, but he went.
I know.
He went on the walkie-talkie to the truck outside and said, Sanborn's on saxophone. And he goes to me, you're going to need to make room for 8 people, so we're going to need to get 10 people out. And what we had is these doors that led from the main room into the front bar. I don't know if you remember Leonard Street on the ground floor. So we opened those doors and we let people filter out. And then 8 firemen came in full regalia and the oxygen to listen. They stayed for the show.
That's incredible.
They kept us safe.
Speaking of Metallica and Lou Reed.
Right, again.
Like, what did you think of that last? Did you hear the last album? What'd you think?
Well, so anything Lou does, I'm going to give respect. And, when he made his Noise record, I'm not the biggest Metallica fan.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm listening to at home. And I probably won't do a Metallica tribute at Carnegie Hall. Anyways, I thought it was really cool and totally out of the box.
And totally underrated, like 100%. It's a shame that was the last record. I mean, a shame that was the last record he put out because of the reception that it got, which was over-the-top harsh.
Yeah.
So he went out on an over-the-top harsh reception. And I know he thought that record was great. Like, he said that to me, that it was one of the best things he's ever made. And when I listen to it, it's like lyrically, it's just, again, it's like going to become totally reinterpreted, 10 years later. Like, lyrically, it's just unbelievably great and challenging and fucked up in the most Lou amazing way,
But I don't think the negative press criticism bothered him.
I bet it did. I mean, every artist is no matter how cool and big bad wolfy artists can be, every artist wants people to say, "For you're a jolly good fellow."
Yeah.
But
I think
it's basic.
I think he was at a point where, I don't know, not that he was immune to harsh,
that was a
criticism,
pretty harsh reception.
But I think he knew it was really good. And I think he had a longer view on shit.
That's true.
And I think he was all right.
Did you get on with him?
Yeah, we had a great relationship. We had this unique. Sarah thought that he had a crush on me for a little bit, and it wasn't that. We had a unique relationship because we started to become close. We drank wine together when we were doing the shows. After the shows, we went to Montrachet a couple times with the band, and we connected around this one particular vineyard in the Willamette Valley. And Lori and I were friends before that, so there was always this connection with both of them. But we got along talking about Judaism. And he wasn't a religious guy, but he knew he was Jewish, and his parents for sure. But like, there was something unresolved in his like Buddhist kind of spiritual self that he was always still intrigued with, and so he would ask questions. He came to 4 or 5 of our Passover Seders.
Like what kind of questions?
They weren't like, Rabbi Dorf, could you tell me about this or that? It was more like, why are all these people still attending, this feast of freedom around the story of slavery, 3,000 years later at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, and isn't it weird how this scene in New York, and he had a connection with John Zorn on this too, and a few other musicians, where it was like, what is it about the Jewish people that makes you remember and explore and be willing to question status quo, whatever those. I think they were like who he was. I mean, it was maybe less religious and more about, I know I come from this, and so what is it about this DNA pattern that has made me who I am?
And what would you say?
I don't have an answer to that. I don't know if I finished telling when Hal brought Lou to Leonard Street, and we walked into a construction site when I was building, and Lou just kept wanting me to focus on the stage, make sure the stage is good, and, quality. I don't want a hollow stage, and when he was saying I don't want, and he had never played at the Old Knit, or I was like, so you want to play here? And he's like, I don't know, but you looks good, and that, there was something in it, just, I showed him a tremendous amount of respect, and it was cool to bring him in to a sawdusty place. It made it feel like he was, I think he felt part of something that was going to start up. Right. And so I've been trying to bring artists into all our new locations during the construction time as much as possible, and then I'm trying to do my own little webcasty thing called Under Construction, which is kind of about that, because and then during the Gulf Wars, they were starting to embed journalists and going to check out the war zone. Right, that was the first time I ever heard of an embedded journalist. Well, I think there is something about embedding and touching and feeling the reality, which can help. And so that was one of the things that, Lou was really, he kept telling me, I got to think about this and got to think about that.
What else?
Well, the dressing room.
The hollow stage thing, I've never even heard of that. Like, I've been performing for 30 years. What's a hollow stage?
It's just when instead,
I get it when it's hollow, but like,
then
who thinks like that?
It can affect the sound, right? And then all of a sudden,
he's so sonically centric.
He was so sonically
even
obsessed.
To the guitar cables and shit like that.
Yeah.
I just don't have that.
He was really into Meyer sound. He was happy we had a Meyer sound system. We connected a lot on wine, and he was always interested in the learning on the wine. So we had some good wine sessions. The one I'll never forget was my wife was pregnant with the twins, and Lori invited us to their apartment. So it was Sarah and I going to have dinner with Lou and Lori, and I'm like, oh my God, this is wild. Like, I'm gonna have dinner with Lou and Lori, fuck, in their apartment. And they had just gotten their new apartment, and Lori was still freaked out about the radiant floor heating that she never had. And so we walk in, just take off your shoes, and we're like, all right, sounds very, Asian, Japanese styled. And she's like, no, but feel the floor. The floor feels great, So anyways, we had connected on this. I tried to do it in the Lori voice.
It was pretty good. It wasn't bad.
I love Lori. So she Lou and I had to sing around this one wine. It was the 2004 Willamette Valley Domaine Joanne Pinot Noir. And it was this wine that, for some reason, this great photographer had turned Lou on, and then I got turned on to it, and it was really good wine, and it was romantic because I remembered the wine and brought to this dinner a Magnum, so a double-sized bottle of this Domaine Drouhin, and I found the vintage 2004.
Right.
And so for a couple wine guys, it was a romantic thing,
Right.
And I when we came in after I felt the floor with Lori, right? I went up to Lou's upstairs studio and I gave him the bottle, and he breaks into a big smile and pulls out from behind an amplifier a Magnum of the same 2004 Domaine Drouhin. He had the same romantic thing he wanted to share with me, so we had two Magnums of the same wine. So we now open one. And this is where the story's going on. So we had a lot of wine to consume for dinner. My wife is
pregnant.
Just became pregnant, so she wasn't showing, and we weren't saying anything yet.
Right.
So she didn't want to drink any wine, of course, that night. So we had a deal. She's like, I know how important this dinner is for you, and I know you have that Lou connection, with around wine. So
Right.
I know there's gonna be a lot of wine consumed tonight, but
Yeah.
I can't drink. And I'm like, I know. She's like, well, but I don't want to tell anyone, so we're gonna fake it. You drink, and as soon as no one's looking, we'll switch glasses. So I'm now drinking. I'm drinking a lot.
So you're getting
Pulling a
fucked
fast
up.
one on Lou.
So I'm getting pretty sloshed, right? And now we're sitting there, and
Wine is dangerous too. I mean,
and you got to also understand. So we were friends, but I'd never yet said to Lou Reed, because I'm just a dude from Wisconsin,
Yeah.
But I never said to him like, "Oh my God, what was it like being in the Velvet Underground and like hanging out with Andy Warhol and like, oh my
Right.
God, like tell me what it was like, man."
Yeah.
Like, wow, being at the factory and
yeah.
So. And I was always trying to be cool.
I was always trying to be cool around him.
I was trying to be
too.
cool. I was trying to be like.
I got a funny story where I let it go. Go ahead.
So that's what happened.
Yeah.
So
And then you.
I couldn't. I
couldn't
I
hold it
lost.
back.
I lost because I was
You're drunk.
so drunk.
Yeah.
And I finally was like,
That was the last time Michael had dinner with Lou Reed.
No,
he appreciated it. He was pretty drunk too.
Yeah. Okay. Go
It was
ahead.
all good. No, that was it.
Yeah.
Like that
What
was.
did you say?
I don't remember most of it, but I definitely.
Oh, it was almost blackout vibes?
Sarah was telling me you were like talking about, asking him about being on stage when he was in different color hair, and you were asking him about the men that he had, been.
Oh, you went there.
Oh, I went everywhere.
Wow.
Apparently.
Wow, my story's not that involved. I just one time texted him because I was listening to the song Coney Island Baby, and which ironically is where we started this podcast at a club called Coney Island Baby. But I wrote him, that song Coney Island Baby I think is the best song anyone's ever written. And or I said, I'm sorry to fan out or something like that. And then I just kept looking at my phone to see if he was going to text me back. And he didn't text me back for a while. And then he wrote back saying, thank you. I love you no matter what. No matter how you approach me or something along those lines.
Yeah.
He was very,
very sweet,
magnanimous and sweet about it. He understood that I kind of went fanboy on him for a second,
Yeah, no, and so I went over the top fanboy.
Way.
And I think he saw it as sweet. He saw it as sweet. And
I'm sure.
He was sweet to me really until he died,
He was a really sweet guy.
Yeah.
I think if you kind of got behind or the
he had a
the veneer.
He had a veneer that was
but
intimidating.
Yeah, but the way I see it too is he was a living legend, and he was out on the street in New York City all the time.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot of stories of Lou probably icing people, but it's think about it. If you're like that, and he chose to be in the world.
Exactly.
So of course,
you need to be able to do that, or else you can't go out.
Exactly.
Did it ever
That's awesome.
come up where you almost booked him to play here? Because in my memory, he never did.
He never played here, and
He came to shows here, though.
He
Yes,
came to
we
shows
saw
here a
Joe
bunch.
here a few
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And the Satyrs, but Axel, did you try to book
Yeah,
him?
no, he only, you're right. He did a few satyrs here. So he has always had this very strong talent agent, Marsha Vlasic. And she's got a veneer, but also it's part of who she is. She protects her artists.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, so Lou and I became buddies, and he would call me or send me a fax. he was a fax guy, and he after a run of shows, he sent me a note or called. I can't remember what it was, but it was a call, and he goes, "Hey, I want to do another 3 nights." And I'm like, all right, I'll call Marsha Vlasic and try and book the nights. And he goes, well, I got to do like August, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, okay, but those are the dates. So then I call Marsha and go, so Lou called me and he would like to play at the Knitting Factory August 21, 22, and 23. She's like, you talked to Lou about dates? I'm like, he called me, and I wrote him down to help get him the information to you, Marsha. She's like, do not ever speak to my artist again, and I was like, well,
By the way, that's like for people out there, like that's common in a way.
Yeah, it is, but
for there's like the protocol thing.
I should have known a better way to bring that to her.
If Lou asked you, he asked you.
I know.
What are you gonna do?
I could. If in retrospect, 20 years later, I could have delivered that information to
Or you could
Marsha
have said
better.
to Lou, like, hey, you got to talk to Marsha.
Yeah. That's even wiser, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't have any of that. I was like,
Yeah.
I booked.
You were psyched.
Super psyched, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, she got mad at me. I know she likes wine too, so I started sending her bottles of wine when I was going to open this place, and I gave her a walkthrough because I would not book Lou without doing it correctly through Marsha, and whatever it was when I opened here, I guess 2008. He did a couple more Beacon shows, which he loved the Beacon Theater. He really loved the Beacon Theater. I talked to him 6 times about doing doing a tribute at Carnegie, and he's like,
Oh, for Lou.
yeah, and he's like, don't you want to do it at the Beacon? And I'm like, nah, this is a Carnegie thing. He goes, I'm not interested. Please don't honor me. And I'm like,
That's so funny.
but I don't know.
Why did he like? That's so wild that he didn't want to be honored.
But sadly, we never did, real shows here. That's okay.
Has there
The
been a
memory-
Lou tribute that you've done at Carnegie? or
No,
anything?
no. So there has been a
Let's
couple
do
of
one.
there's been a couple of Lou tributes that Hal,
Yeah.
has done, and again, Hal's the right person to really do it.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't. Again, I respect Hal way
That's
too
true.
much, and
Yeah.
so we wanted to
Maybe
do.
you could do one together.
Yeah, we could, and we're doing a little we're doing this 10-year series of people who were here, performed, and officially Lou did perform at the Seder a couple times. But so we're doing something around Lou this Wednesday, actually.
Wow.
I guess too late again for the podcast. It's a memory. So we're doing 10 people who passed during the 10 years that we were
just
here.
Played the Leon Russell.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You were part of the Leon,
Yeah.
and we got
Who's playing
it's amazing.
The Lou one?
I don't know. Shlomo would know.
Yeah. Where's Shlomo when you need him?